Alright. Now, we're going to paint this matte black. Saw the way she did this, and she had a neat trick to it, and if mine turns out half as well, I will be happy. Even if mine doesn't turn out half as well, I think it won't be through a lack of trying, that's for sure. So we are going to try to do this. Like I said, this is new to me, and I like trying new types of art. And if this one doesn't work out, then guess what? I can try it again. And we'll hang this one on the wall as a reminder that sometimes things don't go like you think they're gonna. There we go. Now, go ahead and just kind of dab this in. Now, go ahead and get excess paint and bring it around the frame of this and kind of bring it all up. Yeah. I'm going to go around the outside, but right now the more important thing is to get the face of this thing done. Now, we're not going to be drizzling any more paint into it because I think we've got enough paint in it right now to do this job. But I am going to turn it around a piece. So we're going to have to repaint. I'm going to probably put a second coat on that foam board that I used in here. So as you see, it's kind of bleeding through. We don't want it bleeding through. So, but we are going to paint. I'm also going to try to avoid painting that chain if at all possible. Alright, go ahead and get all this paint out. I want this, don't want it clumped up around my gears. Okay, now. Now. Let's see. I'm trying to avoid hitting that chain. I don't want that chain painted if I can avoid it. So it is kind of a test of my skills here. We're going to come back down there and paint this bath escape too, but I kind of want to get this frame done while I've got a chance at it. Now, let's see if this thing will hold paint. If we get a little bit of black on it, it's not going to kill us. It's not the end of the world. I just want enough paint on this thing to allow it to hold the next coat of paint that I'm going to be putting on. Okay. That wiggles a little much, but hopefully it won't turn into an uh-oh. Could have also maybe sprayed this over with a little starch or something, but what are you gonna do? So I got a specific idea in mind here. It's actually painting rather better than I thought it was going to. Turn it around so I can get this side. Let's see. Now, it is a little tricky painting black on black like this because you don't know where you can't always tell where you've painted and where you haven't. A little bit too much paint on these gears, so I'm going to spread this out a piece to kind of... Oh yeah, now it's holding the paint nicely. Now... see. Oh, painted myself by accident. Never good. Now, I may have to go in with a smaller brush. So I don't want to knock my prop loose on my bath escape. Now I realize most bath escapes don't have a prop, but this is steampunk. So I'm assuming it's some sort of exploratory sub that has to rely upon a larger ship for its supplies and its power, but does in fact have a motor where it can move itself around in a limited capacity beneath the waves. Now, there we go. See how many minutes we got left. We got 9 minutes. This is going to be a fairly long video too, I'm afraid. Get a little more paint here. Try to keep it from drizzling all over tarnation. I just sort of go in and kind of hit the tops of these, then come back and brush it once I'm done. So I don't want anything sticking through. Trying to avoid hitting that chain. But if I get a little paint on it, it's not going to be of much consequence. see. There we go. Now this one may actually have to be done and painted overnight. Now she would have taped over it. I'm wanting to try something, so we're going to test something here. So we're going to let that dry overnight. And once we get done with that, then we'll apply the other little glass dome thingy. So we'll be back with you in the morning. Alright guys, it's morning. I've given this thing all night to dry. I still have some places I want to touch up. You can still see a few little spots. But I'm going to try to at least get some of the final finish done on this. So we're going to start with a little black because I've got to get the there's some places around the frame that I'm not happy with. There's some places around some of these rivets that are just not, and right in here you can see. But I'm going to try to maybe get the bath escape itself kind of dealt with. And I've got a little bit around the inside of the frame that I'm not thrilled with being where it is. So we're going to have to kind of get that. So there we go. I'm going to get a little more black paint. Touch it up around in this edge here and down into the crevices. I may end up having to slosh a little paint to get that done. There we go. And that part of the video was brought to you by Energizer, the battery that keeps dying and dying and dying. I'm trying to make sure I get all the areas I want filled in. So trying to get this thing painted is kind of tricky because you're having to hit specific areas to make sure that your paint's not gonna, that the color of the wood or plastic or whatever is not gonna bleed through. See, I got a place right up here in this corner that's just not wanting to cooperate. Now, I think that'll do for that. It's kind of popping bubbles because we're going to try to get paint down into these holes. Now, just kind of touching up any place that I see white or other colors poking out. Because like I said, I want to kind of trying to keep this as faithful as possible. Now, let's see what we can do. Oh, turn it around so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to need my paint rag. That'll be this guy right here. Now, I'm going to grab the big brush again because I'm not really trying to do a lot of detail work, even though I will be probably going to the detail brush at some point in this project. But right now, I need to get all this black paint off of this thing because the next part of this project is going to rely on not having black paint all over it. Alright, here's what we're going to be doing now. I've got just a hint of this copper, and I'm going to kind of, I want to see if I can dry brush it in around on this bath escape. So just kind of knock off extra paint and just kind of kiss the thing with a little bit of brown, a little bit of this copper. do it again. So don't want a whole bunch of extra. It's not like I'm going to in and, you know, really just slop this on. But I do need enough on it to make it look right. We got a ladybug in here. There we go. You gotta be real careful because this is not like it's actual metal plating, so I'm having to be just a little bit ginger with it because I'm dealing with foam, with craft foam, and I don't want to ding it up. But it's coming along nicely. Let me adjust this camera so you can see a little bit of it. Oop, there goes that, knocked over my Mod Podge, which I thought I was going to use but decided not to. Grab a little bit more and kind of knock this off here. Don't want a whole bunch of extra paint. It's not like I'm trying to slop this on. I just want enough to kind of give it sort of a metallic look. And that is coming along beautifully, I think. Okay, get a little more of this antique copper. Just some neat looking stuff anyway. And I'm not going to be overly worried if I get it on the background because, well, I'm going to be painting over that. And I can always touch it up with a smaller brush. Okay, we got a stringer. That's got to go bye-bye. There we go. Got a few stringers, actually. Let me see if I can get in underneath some of these. See, like right here, for example, that's kind of the... Well, maybe it's a wire going between them, I don't know. Alright, let's just keep going then. Do the best we can. I don't want to tear any of this up trying to get to it. So, get a little bit more of this copper, kind of knock off the extra paint. Because like I said, I'm not trying to slop this on, just kind of trying to kind of kiss this thing with it, more or less. I'm turning it here because I don't have a big workspace to mess with, so I got a little bit too much here on that. Kind of knock off the extra paint because I don't need that much extra paint on this. Like I said, I'm not worried about it if I get a little extra where I shouldn't, because I'm going to be painting over it anyway. And it definitely looks like it's been welded. Let's see how this looks thus far. Kind of cool looking, actually. Now, we're going to go ahead and glue our glass dome or plastic dome onto it. And I'm just going to leave it clear because, well, reasons. Alright. This is just basically one of those things you find in gumball machines. Usually has cheap toys in it. And I kind of dig stuff coming out of gumball machines, so I don't know. Let's see if we can get it to stay in place. It's going to have to hold it a minute, I suppose. It may not want to stay. I may end up having to come up around it here just a bit to kind of seal it in. Because I'm not sure it's going to stick. But now you've kind of got like a little observation deck coming off of it, this little goose egg right here. Now, I don't know if it's going to stay on. We're going to try to anyway. We'll hit it a little bit more around this edge, and we'll see if we can get it to stay on. Now, I'll probably wait for that to dry, and I'll copper tone around there too, just a little bit with a finer point brush. Meantime, let's look at our next part of this, which is the gears, and I think the gears are pretty well ready to be used. Now, I know I probably got a little more glue than I meant to, but we'll work with it. Alright, for the gears, we're going to go with a little bit of sterling. I don't know, let's go with some royal gold. I was going to go with some sterling silver, but I'm going to go with royal gold here. And it's going to be the same story. I'm going to use a dry brush method. And then I'm going to go over it again and maybe put a little bit of a wintergreen color to kind of give it a verdigris patina. Just a little bit of a patina. Alright, let's go ahead and knock off some of this excess paint. I got way too much gold on this. I'm going to have to go around this with a pinpoint brush when I'm done, so. These gears, these little plastic gears are just keen, I'm telling you. Alright, we got a bit of a stringer I'm about to plunk. Where did I see it? Right there's one. That's going to have to go bye-bye. We've got another one right here. If I have to repaint it, then so be it. So I've got a few stringers that have kind of eluded me, that you didn't really see until you get it painted. It's a side effect of working with a glue gun, is you're going to have polymerization. There we go. I don't know how perfect it is, but it's not bad. Let me see here. That's actually good and solid now. So now we're going to grab ourselves a pinpoint brush, because I don't want to get a bunch of paint onto my frame, or onto the little bubble. Oh, that knocked my camera over. That would not be fun for me. Alright. Let's come up around here. We may end up having to go with a little black over the top of it if this don't hold. If the paint don't hold. I'm going to try to make it heavy as I can. So when the great thing about that is it looks like it could have been welded, and that's more light industrial or diesel punk than it is steam, but it still looks pretty cool, so we'll go with that. There we go. And now go ahead and kind of just tap along here. Now we're going to need our big brush as soon as I clean off this little one, because I've still got a section down here that doesn't have any copper paint on it, and that won't do. See, there's a little corner down here that's kind of free of this paint, and I don't like that. So that's sort of cool. I got a little bit of a stringer right there. Now, I learned a little trick when dealing with this. There. Now, smooth that down, and what that does is it melts the thing in where it's not quite as noticeable. There we go. Okay. Get a little bit more of this copper and kind of brush it off. Brush off the excess. And see how many minutes we got left. We got 5. Now, as you can see, it's starting to come along. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in on there on this backdrop and use a little sterling silver. And I'll probably have to I'll slop it on with the bigger brush, but then when it comes down there around the gears, I'll come in with a smaller brush to kind of touch it up. So, that's I don't want it like slathered on hard. Just kind of dry brush to make it bring out some texture in it. I got just a little bit more than I wanted on it just now. So, let's kind of just do this. Okay, we got still got a bit much. Just gotta be real careful. I don't want to get any of my peanut butter on the chocolate, as it were. And it mixed with the copper anyway, which means it's going to have kind of an odd color anyway. Maybe a slightly discolored tin or brass or whatever. When I'm done painting the face of this, I'll actually kind of neat looking, and I'm gonna get a little bit more paint, kind of dry brush this off. Alright, now that's a little more I wanted. Let's see what we're gonna do. We're gonna dry. I don't mind if it's a little bit heavy up here, but I do want it to be a little bit lighter down in here. And I'm probably gonna have to touch up those gears anyway, so. But it kind of gave me an idea of what looks right on it and what don't. Okay. A little bit more paint than I wanted right in that area, but we'll work with it. Now, roll this around. Okay, got a little bit more than I wanted on this again. Kind of just get a little bit of that extra off of it because I don't want too much. See, we got a minute left. And yeah, I'm aware of the wood grain coming through, but it is what it is. Alright. I really wish I'd have thought I'd have picked me up a little anchor or something for, like, background decor on this. That would have been kind of neat looking to have, like, a little anchor or something to kind of... Got a little spot of copper that I gotta kind of brush over a piece. Now, get some of this off.